Hi, welcome back to my video channel. It's Laura at Hyperstamper here, and it is time for my next series of 10 journals going to my Etsy page. So this is week 2 in my 10 a week challenge to myself. This is a lovely, lovely journal I made. Now this is a very early 1900s lithograph with a granny doing this little piggy with her grandchild's toes, and it was so precious I didn't want to ruin the back of it, so that if somebody wanted to take it and frame it, they could easily just remove this here and keep that forever. It is absolutely spectacular, and if you look it up online, it's got some value to it. And inside here I just put a little bit of tea-dyed paper so that if you wanted to write in some sentiments, you could. The book is actually a very early 1900s book called English Poetry, and it's poetry from 1170 to 1892. And I just put a tiny little bit of ribbon here and some ribbon down the side to correct some binding that, because of its age, had begun to disintegrate a bit. And here is 1907. This lovely book is from. Again, all of the pages in here are authentic antique and vintage paper, except for a few tea-dyed pages that I added for extra strength in your journaling. And here's a really pretty table doily there, and a page from a 1945 Theater Arts magazine. Really fun ads there for you to read. And this is a very pretty poem. One side it's called In the Garden, and the other side it's called Grandpa's Walking Stick. And then I made the pocket here out of an antique page, a blank page, so you can journal on top of that as well. And then it is mounted on top of a early 1900s book called Freckles. I believe it's 1904, and it's got some pretty little leaf images there. Here's a very early 1900s blank ledger page. And here is the sweetest little outfit from a paper doll set that I acquired from we think it's the early 1960s, and it is in a vintage stamp glassine envelope. And this here is from the 1940s. It's an old Valentine that has peeled off from the card, but I thought it was just pretty adorable. Little kittens on there. And I have this, here is a book from a horse magazine from the 1940s, and so that's your center spread there, which is really quite stunning, and I love the sepia tone aging of that page. These are just some of the flip sides of those pages we just went through in this signature. Another table doily here, and this is a naturally made piece of paper, and you can see on the other side the little bits of flowers. So that is a handmade paper piece, not vintage, but really, really stunning. I thought it was pretty in here. This is a vintage canasta score sheet, so you can journal on there as well, front and back, and made out of an antique book page, and even all these little clusters are made from antique book pages. And a 1950s receipt from Pearl Shop, which I use these in all my journals. I have actually, when people order my journals on Etsy, they ask if they can have more of those. That's fine, just ask at checkout. Here is another little image from a children's storybook, and this is a wonderful image on how to make a garden. And so front and back over here, you've got these lovely images from that vintage garden book. And this here is from believe it or not, this is a 1930s decorator book. I'm just gonna pull the book here so you can see. Isn't that cool? So I pulled these out of this book on interior design, and that would be a very kitschy bathroom in the 1930s. I've actually seen some houses now that still have that exact same tile and decor, and it's awesome. So let's just skip over here. This is just a not old, but a tea-dyed envelope. And I stuck a little card in here for journaling on, and you can tuck more things in here, some of your own photos and vintage ephemera. More paper here. I made a little pocket here, and on here it's a piece of the Times from March 8th, 1907, and a beautiful antique postcard from the early 1900s probably between 1910 and 1915. And again, this is made out of an antique book page, and it's mounted on top of a vintage atlas page. And this is a 1950s craft magazine. Again, we've got that really kitschy 1950s decor. Remember seeing this at your grandma's house? Yep. And so that's a fun thing to look at. You can journal on all the white space there too. In this pocket here, we have this beautiful, it's from inside of the book, and that is going to, actually I can do that right now. I'm going to fold this 3 times. And it's just, when I pulled the book apart, this unfortunately came out of the book. I wanted it to stay in this inside cover, but it is just gorgeous. So this lives here now. Isn't that pretty? It's a lot of journaling space on there, and that's from the 1930s, that piece there. And this is from the 1930s as well. Looks like May 29th, 1930, ledger page here. Isn't that fun? And this is another one of my favorite cheesy recipe book spreads, and that is a vintage recipe book. Actually, this one's not bad. I could eat that avocado thingy thing with the pineapple. And more of that. This is an 1898 stereoscope. Oh, sorry, 1900, this one, of 2 little children on a hot summer day. And that would have been used with a stereoscope projector or Viewmaster type contraption. And quite the luxury to have one of those back in that day. And I made this out of a Indigenous author's poetry book, Pauline Johnson, and that is made into an envelope, so you can journal on that as well. And it's a lovely poem. I think you'll enjoy that a lot. I did. And this is another 1926 ledger page for you to journal on here. And a vintage recipe card, which you can do some journaling on here as well, but it's just really a fun little piece of ephemera I liked adding to that one. This book page here, it's a little brittle, so be gentle with it, but it is from 1889 here, and it's from a book, a tiny little book that is the entire script of a play. And then in here I have tucked a page out of a ballroom dancing book. Look how fun that is. And I believe that one, oh, that's the tango. How fun is that? Oh, that's neat. And that is from the 1940s. That's cool. That's the only book I've ever seen on ballroom dancing in my travels. This is from the 1893 magazine, Dormerist's Family Magazine. And again, 1893, and look at these beautiful outfits these women are wearing. I mean, they look like costumes to me, but this is actually what they were wearing, and I just, oh my God, I love that so much. It was hard parting with these because I'm down to just a few of them now. Just put a little vintage stamp here, some more of your blank paper there. A Peanut song. Is that fun? So this is from the 1930s, this music sheet. Who is Sylvia? This is another receipt that I have glued on top of here because there was carbon on the other side, and I didn't want that to get all over your book. And this is a wonderful page from an encyclopedia on all the national parks in America. It's kind of fun. This I made out of a sewing pattern pouch, and I put in the ledger paper there. And here is a lovely Mother Goose children's book from the 1920s. And then there's the other side of the pattern here. And you can tuck more of your special treats in there. And as always, I always give you a little present when you order one of my journals, so you can certainly stick that in there as well. And this is just another little pocket out of an antique book page. And that's the title of a book. It says A New Idea. Isn't that pretty? And then the song is called Twilight on the Prairie. And this is just a little teeny tiny flip book of extra paper for you to journal on, tucked there. And I think that brings us to the end of our book. Go to sleep, Lena darling. Another vintage stamp and the back of the book. And somebody between the early 1907 and today drew a little face, but it's pretty sweet. I'm leaving it on there. I was going to cover it. I thought, no. So I hope you will visit my Etsy page. This is being listed right now, and etsy.com/hyperstamper with a capital H. Please subscribe so you can see more of the 10 that come out this week. Bye for now.